Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And I know what some people might be saying as soon as they see this. Hang on a minute, you've already reviewed the Super Nintendo version of Final Fight. Well, this is actually Final Fight Guy. As you can see by the big word Guy there. This is an attempt to try and make up for the fact that the previous version didn't have Guy in it, but instead had just Cody and Hager. Hager is still in this one, but instead of Cody, they've got Guy. So because Guy was not available in the previous version, we'll try out Guy in this version. Well, one thing I have noticed is it's noticeably quicker than the previous game. Now, this isn't a sequel. This is simply a different version of the same game. Only instead of Cody, it's Guy. See? Yeah, it does seem to be noticeably faster than the version with Cody in it. It's also just as annoying when someone starts to repeatedly hit you and you can't do a damn thing about it. Well, it still plays just as well, thankfully. Oh God, I'm dead already. So it's still a pretty challenging game, especially as with the other version. If you use Guy's special move, which is that jumping spinning kick, then you lose a bit of a tiny sliver of energy. So on to the next bit. We just kneeling there on the floor while his mate gets duffed up. Oh, darn it. Another life gone already. I've never been keen on the idea that if you do a particular combat move, you lose energy. That's what makes you wonder if you only had a tiny sliver of energy left and you did that, then you'd die the moment you finished it, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense, really. Can you imagine if you're a martial artist who on your last leg you just did a jumping spinning kick and dropped dead for no apparent reason? Yeah, unfortunately, Guy can't actually hold the knives the way Cody does. So, in some respects, this is one of the reasons that this is seen as an inferior product to the version of Final Fight that I reviewed the other day. Wong Hu. Yes. And that was actually a different cut of meat in the previous version I reviewed. There, it was a whole chicken. It does seem to play a little bit better, a little bit more fluidly than the other version. But it still has the same problem that only one person can play the game. There's the two-player mode from the original version again is nowhere to be seen. okay, he was clearly behind me when I did all that. Not that I'm complaining. Oh. Always rely on a boss to get in his cheap shots. Cackle at me, will you? Yeah. I do wonder how many people would have bought the original version of Final Fight and then bought this due to the lack of Guy and felt that they'd been nickeled and dimed because they're essentially having to pay out again for what was just pretty much the same game but with one different character, a selectable character compared to the previous version. Oh, goodness me. Bye-bye. That's round one clear. Yeah, I do genuinely think that this is slightly more rapid and more fluid than the version I reviewed previously. I do love that combination that Gary does. Same censorship issues as in the previous game. I sort of got the guy with the green hair and the handcuffs on his belt was originally a female character, just as I said in the version I reviewed previously. Oh God. Billy. I assure you, he was not called Billy originally. In fact, he was not originally a he. Oh, God. Well, given that this is essentially the same game as the version I reviewed the other day, I think it's best if I just end the review here. And even though it plays noticeably more smoothly, well, it certainly seemed like it did, I still can't ignore the fact that people might have bought the original version of Final Fight for the Super Nintendo and then bought this thinking that they were going to get a two-player mode and as well as get Guy, perhaps, and ultimately get essentially the same game but playing a little bit better and with arguably the best character, Cody, replaced by Guy. I mean, can you imagine if you bought the, given how expensive Super Nintendo games were originally, can you imagine if you bought the first Final Fight, were disappointed at Guy's absence in that, and then bought Final Fight Guy, thinking you're going to get a more complete game, but it's essentially a slightly better playing version, only with Cody nowhere to be seen and Guy in his place instead. Yes, you would feel pretty cheated, wouldn't you? So the graphics and sound and music I can't really say anything different about them that wasn't already said in the previous game. And literally the only difference I can make out is the fact that Guy is present in this version and he obviously wasn't in the other version. And there's Guy. And it references Cody's absence by saying he's still in Japan. Obviously, that was a change made for this particular version. It's got that same showing off with Mode 7 for that word fight in the Final Fight logo just then. But other than all that, it seems to be exactly the same game. So, that coupled with it being a cynical, something seen as possibly a cynical cash-in, I'm going to give Final Fight Guy 5 out of 10. It still plays well, but I cannot just ignore the fact that people would have just paid for essentially the same game with just one character swapped out for another that was originally missing, and it playing a little bit better and smoother. I just can't put that spectre out of my head, unfortunately. So hope you enjoyed this review. Catch you on another one soon. Texie88 out.